Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, this is Random Street Theater. I am Richard Neal. As you can see from the green screen behind me, the studio is not in the best of condition. I am working on a project that was affected by the fact that Amazon has been screwed up. So my studio is going to look a little ugly for a bit. Of course, I am still obliged to bring you videos. I am still obliged to keep my subscribers happy. So I went out there and I watched for you Justice League Dark, the latest in the Warner Brothers DC pairing that is essentially something of a sequel to, I believe I already reviewed Flashpoint. This is a film wherein Darkseid returns to Earth and Superman, I guess, is on his period when he shows up, and Darkseid conquers the Earth for some time. And the story of how the remnants of the Justice League are going to deal with that. Yes, he's got some souped up parademons, and Superman forgets that, you know, he's Superman and should still be able to take them. And Batman forgets that he's Batman and can see the future and should know what a bad idea this is. And, you know, the Justice League, in the first 5 minutes of the movie, gets totally mashed and the Earth is just meh. So, our story begins with a Superman who has a kryptonite tattoo and cannot fight, at least not very well, seeking out Faust in order to help him assemble a team to finally go out there and try a last-ditch effort to save the Earth from Darkseid. Now, again, the big problem with a lot of DC properties is conservation of power. There is a lot of problems with the conservation of power. Now, one of the things we know about Superman is he is stronger than Darkseid. Okay? Not by an enormous amount so that it is a defined fight, that Superman could just walk in there and put him in the ground and that's it. I mean, it's like, look, Batman, I guess he could see the future, but Superman can literally go into the past. So he should be able to almost any superhero or supervillain just hit them at near light speed and blast them into atoms, and that should be it. Okay? So that's kind of the thing. And again, Superman has even a self-destruct, make me immune to kryptonite power, which we've seen in movies before, where if he gets too much energy, he's immune to kryptonite, but eventually he explodes. Or something like, we don't know exactly what happens to him, because at the end of that movie, he winds up fixing the sun and disappearing. So there's that. So in this movie, this weakened Superman has spent years incognito, running from the parademons, letting the Earth get its ass kicked, until this final moment when he gets together a team to stop this. And this is called Justice League Dark because, of course, you've got terrible stakes. Darkseid is basically Space Hitler. He's going about wiping out civilizations, doing terrible things, and it is hard for me to believe anything in this movie, because one, if Darkseid were a thing, the entire universe would be against him. I mean, we'd be pulling together coalition after coalition, because it's like, look, he's coming for you. And if he's coming for you, you're going to need to fight him. And then there's the other thing of like, yeah, you know, how is it these things beat the Justice League so easily at the beginning? Because it shows you the full battle. They just tear through them like they don't exist. And then later on, Harley Quinn takes out a parademon. So they're not that tough. No, they're not that tough. And before that happens, Lois Lane takes out Harley Quinn. I mean, it's in a boxing or mixed martial arts match. But I mean, just for one thing, after a mixed martial arts match, you're not exactly going into battle the next day at 100%. You're busted up. You don't get into a fight like that without being busted up. And for another thing, when did Lois Lane become a badass? Am I missing something? Like, I know there was one time she got, like, superified, but... what is it with superheroes that they're a disease? They're contagious. Look, if you want to see a bunch of superheroes get creamed, Justice League Dark is the movie for you. But if you're the kind of person who cares about the powers, has a huge amount of lore put behind him, and would like to see these characters done their justice, well, that's just not this movie. I mean, is it a bad movie? No, it's not a bad movie. But once again, if you have somebody who can do this at the end of the movie, you need to have a good reason they can't do it at the beginning of the movie. You need to have just a better reason than, oh, well, oopsie. I mean, you know, when we went and fought Hitler, I grant you this is Space Hitler, we went out there with everything we had, overwhelming numbers, pulled in people who never really should have been on the battlefield. I mean, D-Day, they said something like the average age of the landing soldier was over 45 or something like that. They were not all young men. They were not our best of the best. There was every person we could put on that field. Okay? So why would the same rules not apply to Darkseid? Oh, this movie is so frustrating. But I mean, as with many DC properties, there are no real stakes. It's kind of the way it works. Anyway, so there you have it. I personally cannot recommend this movie unless you are a fan of the genre. It is a watch only if you're bored. I did not care for it. You probably will if you are. If you watched Flashpoint and you enjoyed it, this movie is not as good. It is the same basic thing. A lot of superheroes get creamed. There's a lot of action and fighting scenes. But, again, it begs the question, you know, why is there not a this? Why is there not a that? The plot is very loosely held together. So anyway, that's just my opinion. Love to hear yours. Comments below. I'm Richard. Greetings, capitalist pigs. I am Great Russian Strongman Stealth Borgov, here from Absurd TV to remind you to like and subscribe to this video. And leave a comment telling everyone how much you'd like to see more of me, which you can find on Absurd TV. Bye, Mark Schaefer.